Okay, let's look at some user-defined extensions. I have here the connections window, and when I click on a table, I get the details. The details with a lot of editors, and here's the properties editor. That's a user-defined extension which shows some details in a table grid in a vertical representation. I have a second user-defined extension. That's the result of Daniel Porter's AshTop script. That's a SQL Plus, so better SQL CL script. And it does not really make sense to define that on a table level, but it shows what's possible, what you can do. It's not only a table representation, you can also show the result of a SQL CL script. I can do the same for the views. Click on views, and here I get the properties, some detailed information from the data dictionary. What's missing here is the AshTop script results. Why? I show you that later. Let's look at the last object type, package. I get here also my properties user-defined extension, but this time the properties are not vertically visualized. They are shown as a normal record, the default representation of a table grid. And when I look for the AshTop, it's not at the end, it's somewhere in the center, in the middle. And when I click on it, it doesn't work. I consider that a limitation or a bug, whatever you like. It doesn't work. But there's another option to open associated editors. You can do that from a worksheet. Let's try that for a table, for example. I click on Pop-up Describe, and I then get a new window. In the new window, all my associated editors are shown, also my user-defined ones, properties, and AshTop. I can do the same for the util which did not work previously. And this time I get all my results. It looks good. I get the vertical representation and also the AshTop. So where is the stuff defined? That's in the preferences on the user-defined extensions. Here, oops. Are the AshTop and the properties definition as type of an editor, and they are read from a local file. In fact, I store here in this directory clone of my GitHub repository. You may get your own clone of this GitHub repository. It's public, and try out the stuff yourself. A question I get a lot is, does it make sense to store all these user-defined extensions on a shared drive? You can do that, but it's dangerous. If SQL developer doesn't find these files, it crashes and it won't start. So for a laptop which doesn't have access to the shared drive, this is not a good idea. So I will recommend really to read user-defined extensions from a local drive. If you want to synchronize them, use version control or rsync or whatever. Okay, let's look at the details of these files. How are they defined? Let's look at the properties first. These are the type. This is a type editor. The representation is a table grid, and a detail of the representation is vertical. And you see here the result is limited to a single row because I have object owner, I have object type, and object name as selection criteria. So it's not possible to get more than one row, so it really makes sense to choose a vertical representation. What I see here also is a lot of object types are associated with this editor. So I get it for view, I get it for table, I get it also for package. There's virtually no limitation. You can associate them with all nodes if you like. Let's look at the ashtop. The ashtop is also of type editor, but this time the style is not table, it is a script. So the result is of a SQL script. And it has a list of object types, but it is much smaller. It's only table and package and no view. So because of the missing view, when I clicked on the view, I did not get the result of the ashtop script. That was the reason. But what I see here is table folder. So it's also possible, I show that, to define something on a folder. And when I click here open, the table result is shown, and here's a second editor. This is my user-defined extension, which is associated on that level. When I look here at the script, I see that I go to a hard-coded directory and I call the script with hard-coded values. Usually when I have a script, it doesn't really make sense to define a hard-coded value. Sometimes I want to have the ability to change them, and that brings us to the reports. I've imported some user-defined scripts from Tanel Podder, in fact just 6. Ashtop is one of them. And when I click on such a report, SQL Developer asks me for the connection, and then I get a pop-up for every bind variables. Since I've defined default values, I just may accept them, but I have the ability, for example, to change the time and say I'm interested in the last 6 hours and run the scripts this way. What I cannot do here is change a report. I have to do that in the user-defined reports. So I'm going to import some reports, in fact the very same we've seen before. These are the 6 scripts, and now I don't want to run them, I want to edit them or at least show some values. When I open the editor for it, I see here the ashtop script with the ashtop report, which is defined as a script. Therefore, everything here is SQL Plus or SQL CL. And what I'm doing here is I'm converting all bind variables to substitution variables, named that way. So I can use the substitution variable tptdir, where's the directory of the script, to change directory. Usually I won't change that, but maybe I will change the other values as I've shown before, and I'm calling these scripts with these parameters. The advantage is by calling the scripts and not incorporating them, the script in SQL Developer, is that these two things are independent. So I can just refresh the repository of Tanel, with Tanel Podder's scripts, and I don't have to change anything in SQL Developer. And I think that's neat. So let's look at the bind variables. I've defined some of them: name, prompt, default values, tooltip. What is interesting in SQL Developer, you may also test it here while you're editing a report. So I can click here on the test report. I get all these parameters. Again, when I use mouse over, I see some tooltip which says it's a date expression. I can run the report. It will be shown in a dedicated window, and I can do some changes when I'm not satisfied with my default parameters or whatever. And when I'm ready, I can apply it, I can save it, and I'm done.